Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dig into a text that, honestly, it challenges a historical narrative that many of us just take for granted.
So, let's just get right to the heart of it. The central question this source tackles is this: where did the idea of one God really come from? Was it this slow, gradual evolution over ages, or was it more like a Big Bang, a radical idea from the very start?
Now, the common theory, what most historical criticism says, is that monotheism kind of grew out of polytheism over a really long time. But the text we're looking at today presents this really bold counterargument. It says that no, monotheism was actually a unique, foundational, and ancient idea in Judaism from the get-go.
All right, so let's dive into this claim. The idea that Jewish monotheism wasn't some slow evolution, but was something profoundly original right from the start. How does the text even begin to make this case? Well, the author argues that this idea, it's a phenomenon that seems to escape the usual laws of historical development. I mean, it appeared way too early among a people who didn't have the benefit of, say, Greek philosophy. It suggests it wasn't just a product of simple intellectual progress.
And the text really frames this as a puzzle, right? It asks, how could men, devoid of all philosophical culture, have been able to rise to conceptions more sublime than those of Socrates and Plato? It's a huge question, especially when you consider the text calls it a time of barbarism and hatred between peoples.
So instead of a slow, plodding development, the source suggests something else entirely. It posits that this was a unique intuition, a foundational concept that was just there from the very beginning of Jewish history. In religious terms, you'd call this a revelation.
Okay, so to back this up, the author first points to the attributes assigned to God in ancient texts. The argument is that these descriptions themselves are proof of a fully formed, not an evolving, monotheistic concept.
First up, the text points to God's eternal nature. I mean, the idea of a God without a beginning or an end, that's presented as a core, ancient belief right from the start.
And this quote from Isaiah really illustrates it perfectly. "Before me no God was formed, nor will there be one after me. I am the first and I am the last." That's not just a top god in a pantheon. It's a concept of a single, timeless deity, which is fundamentally different.
Second, we have God's all-powerful nature. And here, the earliest names for God are cited as direct evidence of a belief in absolute total power. Now, this is really interesting. Let's look at these names. El signifies power. Simple enough. But Shaddai signifies all-powerful. And metaphysically, it also suggests this sublime detachment from the physical world. So these ancient names, they're already packed with complex, almost philosophical ideas of might and transcendence. And third, God's infinite presence. Finally, the source highlights the concept that God isn't just confined to one place, like a mountain or a temple. No, this God fills all of existence.
Listen to this from Jeremiah. "Do not I fill heaven and earth, declares the Lord?" I mean, wow. These attributes, the author contends, are not signs of an idea that's slowly evolving. They're signs of a complete and absolute one from the get-go. Okay, let's move on to what the text presents as the ultimate, the most conclusive proof of all, the act of creation itself.
So the author first confronts a really common critical theory, which is henotheism. You've probably heard of this. It's the belief in a supreme God, sure, but without denying that other lesser gods exist and maybe rule over other nations. The idea that the Jews simply saw their God as the strongest one among many.
But here's the rebuttal. In the text, only one being is ever credited with creation. And this is a crucial point. Yeah, you have angels and other beings in the texts, but the act of creation, that is never delegated. It's the exclusive domain of the one God.
And this verse from Isaiah is used as pretty definitive evidence against henotheism. It says, "I am the Lord, who has made all things, who alone stretch out the heavens, who spread out the earth by myself." The key words there, right? Alone, by myself. That's pretty direct. So then the author contrasts this with dualism. Think of something like Zoroastrianism, for example. In that system, you've got two opposing primordial powers, one of good, the creator, and one of evil, the destroyer. But then look at this quote from Isaiah.
I form the light and create darkness. I bring peace and create evil or calamity. I, the Lord, do all these things. This is presented as just a radical claim. It's a direct challenge to dualistic religions because it attributes not just the good stuff, but also hardship and darkness to a single sovereign source.
And this idea of a single creator, well, it leads directly to the final pillar of the argument. It's this: a single, unified kingdom under one ruler. One creator means one kingdom.
So, the text argues that unlike pagan mythologies, where different gods might rule different domains, one for the sky, one for the sea, and they're often rivals, Judaism presents a universe where heaven and earth are one single dominion, belonging to the exact same God. The divine realm isn't divided, it's absolute and whole.
And check out this quote from Deuteronomy. "To the Lord your God belong the heavens, even the highest heavens, the earth and everything in it." This concept of God as the sole possessor of all creation is just so central. It reinforces this idea of absolute and universal sovereignty.
So the crucial point here is that the biblical narratives right from the very beginning are interpreted as showing this singular worldwide authority. When God gives humanity dominion, it's over the whole earth. When Cain is marked, he's protected everywhere, showing that God's authority is universal. And you see it with the flood. The covenant isn't just with humanity, but with the earth itself. The Tower of Babel, God's authority disperses humanity across the entire globe. It's all pointing to this one idea.
Ultimately, the source is arguing that this idea of a single creator, it isn't just one attribute among many. No, it's the foundational evidence for a totally unique and absolute monotheism. And that leaves us with a pretty big thought to consider. How does it change our understanding of ancient faith if we define God by the exclusive act of creation?